What's up, YouTubers? Hardworker12 with you here. Well, I've had my 2020 Impreza for about 2 months now, and I think it's high time that I review this little puppy. So today, that's what I'm going to do. We'll have a look at the styling. I'm going to show you some of the features on the vehicle. We'll take it for a drive, measure out the cargo room and the passenger room. Let's get started. Well, starting with styling, and yep, it's a car. Not a very exciting looking one. Honestly, I think for the last, 12 model years, the Impreza's been a pretty boring looking car, and the 2020, the current body style, certainly keeps that tradition alive. Of course, I lease returned a WRX STI for this car, so that one was a little more exciting, and it certainly got more attention on the street, but it wasn't necessarily attention I liked, because it primarily came from cops and young kids in Honda Civics trying to race me. So I'm okay with the kind of bland blend-in styling of this Impreza. Not a great looking car, not a bad looking car, but it's a car, and that can't be denied. Let's have a look at the interior features. So the features on this car, I think, are slightly more exciting than the styling is. For 2020, all Imprezas with automatic transmissions come standard with the EyeSight safety system. So that's going to do your emergency braking, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, and forward collision alert. This particular model is a premium. So the premium gives you the CD player, the heated front seats, you get satellite radio. That doesn't come with a base model. And you get the paddle shifters to go along with the Cvt transmission. If it's a base, it just has a low gear there if it's an automatic. So none of that stuff would come with a base model. If you move up to a sport or a limited, you do get a larger touchscreen and also a fancier information screen up there. That's not even really showing up on the screen, but that's okay. This particular premium model is equipped with factory option package number 14. So I have blind spot monitoring, I have a power moonroof, I have fog lights, I have push button start with keyless access, and I have a power driver's seat. So this car is basically smack dab in the middle of the Impreza lineup. You can get it with less stuff, you can get it with more stuff. If you move up to the sport, you get fancier cloth with red stitching. Limited's going to give you leather seats, and you can get it with bigger wheels and navigation and Harman Kardon sound. But for my purposes, this car is suiting me well right now. Let's take it out on the road and take her for a drive, see how she rides. All right, so driving the 2020 Impreza. And when you're reviewing the way a car drives, there's 4 main things you got to talk about: braking, acceleration, handling, and ride quality. Braking, brakes are very good, work fine. Acceleration, well, part of the reason why the brakes are very good and work fine is this isn't a fast car. There's no real way around that. Numbers don't lie. This vehicle has 152 horsepower, and it replaced my 2017 WRX STI that had 305 horsepower. So it literally has half the horsepower of my previous vehicle. So I was not expecting this to be a fast car. I mean, I've driven Imprezas before, and it's not a fast car. But with that being said, it's fine. It gets down the road, it gets you where you need to be. I've actually driven it to Northern California to visit my family twice since I've had it, and in the midst of doing that, I have gone over a mountain pass that was over 9,000 feet. So I've driven this thing through the mountains, and it's fine. It's got plenty of power to get you where you need to go. You're not gonna be passing everybody, going up Highway 395, but you're going to be able to keep up with traffic. If you're not a lead foot, if you're not used to a high horsepower car, if you are, you can adjust as I have. The power's fine. Now, one thing I'll talk about in relation to acceleration is the transmission. And I actually really like the transmission in this car, which may be a controversial thing to say on car internet because it does have a CVT, a continuously variable transmission, but it's super smooth. It has an interesting logic. Sometimes it will mimic traditional gears where it'll rev up and then pretend like it's shifting gear, which is all just the computer telling it to do that. And sometimes it'll act as a pure CVT and just hold one specific RPM and produce forward acceleration in that way. But in either mode that the car's brain decides to put itself in, it's smooth as glass. It's absolutely wonderful. And I love it. I mean, I really do like CVT transmissions. Look, this is not a sports car. It's not even a car with sporty pretension. And the CVT is great. It's smooth. It gets good gas mileage. It gets you where you need to go. You know, if you're watching this video because you're researching what car to buy and you're going through the internet reading all this stuff, I'm sure you've already read comments about how trash CVTs are. Go drive one yourself and make your own decision. If you don't like a CVT, hey, that's fine. Don't buy one. I happen to like them. I like the smoothness of it. I don't need this to be a sporty car. It's not a sporty car. I need it to get me from point A to point B, and it does that brilliantly. Oh, thumbs up. So, handling. This car is weird when it comes to handling, and it kind of, because I've driven it through the mountains a little bit, it took me a minute to wrap my brain around this. But the handling feel is good. The chassis is very capable. The body roll is minimal, especially for what is essentially an economy car, a compact economy car. But the steering feel is where it falls down. The steering is numb. It's direct enough, it's not inaccurate, but you don't have a whole lot of feel of what's actually going on in the front wheels, and that hurts the handling. But the chassis itself is very, very capable. And the conclusion that I've come to is I'm really excited for Subaru to make the next WRX STI based on this chassis, which is the Subaru Global Platform. Because if you took this chassis and gave it a little bit stiffer suspension, some limited slip differentials, you know, a little bit wider, grippier tires, and a better steering rack, that would be the biggest thing. And then 400 horsepower, please, and a 6-speed manual transmission, this car would be phenomenal to drive. It would really give you great handling, because it gives you very good handling now. It's just that the steering kind of limits what you can do with it. It's sort of numb. You just don't, like I said, you don't have a good feel for what the front wheels are doing in the middle of a turn, and that's really what you need to have a car that really handles well, so that you have that confidence to push it harder and go through the turn a little bit faster. But of course, with only 152 horsepower on tap, how hard are you going to push it anyway? So that brings us to ride, and I think the ride quality is probably my favorite thing about driving this car. Now, as I said previously, I was coming out of a WRX STI, and I loved that car. That car handled great, and it had a stiff ride. I never found it to be punishing, but you definitely felt the road. And this car is super smooth, which I expected this car to be night and day different from my previous one, so I'm fine with it. This is, you know, a replacement for my STI, only in the transportation mode, not in the entertainment mode. And I gotta tell you, I'm really loving this car. It's not perfect, but we're all living through some really weird times right now. And what I love about this car is I feel safe, I feel comfortable, it's affordable. I mean, I'm not working right now, so that was definitely a consideration of why I got another Impreza instead of well, yeah, another Impreza. It's my second one. I had a 2010. Instead of another STI, I'm saving some money. Facts is facts. And yeah, I just love getting in this car, driving where I'm going, in comfort. I'm not driving fast. I don't care. I don't even have a job right now, so I don't have anything to be on time for. And like I said, I feel safe, I feel comfortable, and I feel relaxed when I'm driving this car. And right now, it's July, well, it's last day of June as I film this, 2020. It's almost July. Being relaxed is not the easiest thing for a lot of people at the moment. It's stressful times we're all living through. And when I drive this car, it doesn't stress me out. It relaxes me. So I've been very appreciative of that quality on the vehicle. I love driving it because I feel chilled out when I'm driving this car. Just the seat's comfortable, the air conditioner's good, ride's smooth, transmission smooth. I'm not going that fast, but I don't really care. I'm safe, getting good gas mileage, whatever. So I have really been enjoying this car. I think I'm going to continue to enjoy it. I'm on a 3-year lease with it. We'll see if I take that to term. We'll see what the future holds for cars for me. But for now, it's working great. It's doing well for me. It's doing what I need it to do, and I'm happy with it. So with all that being said, let's measure out the cargo room, look at the passenger room, and wrap this up. Width of the trunk opening, 41 inches. Interior height of the trunk, 20 inches. Length from the bottom of the back seat with the seat up, 38 inches. Length to the top of the back seat with the seat down, 61 inches. Height from the ground to the load lip of the trunk, 28 inches. Interior width of the trunk at the widest point, 55 inches. Interior width of the trunk at the narrowest point, 43 inches. So measure your stuff and see if it fits. So now we're going to check the passenger room in the vehicle, and I find that using myself as a measuring tape for this works the best. I'm 6'5", so I'm going to see if I can sit behind myself in this vehicle. And the answer to that question is yes, I can. I'm sitting in the back seat. My knees are almost touching the back of the back seat, but not quite. And I have just barely enough headroom, which is pretty impressive for a compact car like this. So passenger room gets a big thumbs up from me on the 2020 Impreza. So that's my review of my wonderful 2020 Impreza. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please give a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. And please wear a mask when you go out in public. Stay safe and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.